Hi, I'm Dina, and today I'm going to talk about some design basics for presentations. There are some basic presentation elements that you need to think about as you're designing your project or your presentation. You should think of the structure, which means what does it look like? Is it following a certain grid? Are the elements symmetrical? The feel, is it simple or is it too complicated? Are the elements on the slide complementing one another? Or are they fighting? Is there an overall harmony and balance and I'm able to see and understand all the content that's on the presentation? And then you have the colors. You have to think of the color of your background, of your fonts, and any shapes that you input. Then you have the fonts. It's very important to pay attention to the font size and to the font type. And last but not least, think of any media that you're adding. If you're adding images, icons, or videos, you also have to add them on your slides in an organized manner. The design strategy that you should be following is some sort of a top-down strategy or a stepwise one, where think of what you want the big product or the end product to look like, and then start breaking down your elements and fit them in your slides appropriately. And to do so, you always have to think of your content. What is it that you're presenting? The second thing, who are your audience? Are you presenting it in a professional development workshop or at school or at college? And obviously, what's the age group? And then add any other relevant criteria that you can think about. Let's look at the structure. As I said earlier, three aspects that you really need to think about is creating an imaginary grid, thinking of the symmetry of all the elements that are included on your slide, and just think about the positive and negative spaces, just making sure that there's a balance between them. You're going to notice on this slide that there are plenty of grids that are available for you to kind of just input the data that you have to make everything look symmetrical. So always think, there are imaginary lines on my slide, and I just want to chunk up information in a box-like manner. This way, everything will automatically fall in place. It's as if you're considering adding all your information in a form of a puzzle so that there is harmony between every single element on your slide. Then you have the feel. You need to think of how to create and design a slide that is simple looking. The information there on it is easy for the person to just retain all of it. You have to think of the elements and that they're complementing one another. They aren't competing to stand out against one another. And then there's the balance. You're going to notice those two images on the right. You're going to notice the one on the left. Automatically, we're applying a grid. There is symmetry, and things seem to be balanced. However, on the right-hand side, you're going to notice there are three images that are not symmetrical. The text is a lot, and it's just too busy that you do not know which element am I supposed to be focused on. So symmetry is crucial, and applying everything in a grid is always going to help you out. And then you have the colors. You have to use your colors very carefully. You can tell that too many colors can become a distraction. So you always want to go for something that is just simple and is easier on the eye. And here you can see that the feeling we're getting out of the shape on the left is totally different than the one that is on the right. The green is too vibrant, but is also making us feeling just a little bit agitated. And then we have to think of the font colors. If the color is going to be a distraction, then you should automatically go for something that is simpler. Also, you don't want to add more than one color in your font because automatically you will not know which words you're supposed to be focused on. You can change the color of your headings and your subheadings. However, when we're working with a certain text in terms of a paragraph or bulletin points, make sure that they're always sticking to one color. Now let's look at different fonts. The first goal of selecting a font is to check for text readability and avail opportunities for visual retention. Don't go for a font that looks kind of cartoonish or babyish or fun for my KG students because while it might seem fun to you, it might not allow them to really understand the content because it's rather distracting. Some basic recommendations are Arial, Tahoma, Helvetica, and Verdana. These are sans serif, which means they don't have the end strokes. Times New Roman is one that has the end strokes, as you can see in the example in the last line. Now let's check fonts, color, and size. You're going to notice that the fonts on the left, the color is unified on every single unit, making it a lot easier to read. The font size on the left, which starts at 16 points, is making it easier for you to read it comfortably. And always think, when I'm presenting the information, how large is my projector and how many attendees do I have? For your font's color and size, you want to make sure that all the text that you're putting in one chunk has the same color. Because if you compare the ones on the left to the ones on the right, you're going to notice that we can read the statement, "This is an example," a lot easier and simpler than the one that has 4 different colors. Using many colors ends up being a distraction. Also pay attention to your font size. The fonts on the left are size 16. They start at size 16, and you always want to make sure that the farthest person sitting for your presentation is able to read the text. When adding media, make sure to always use images, icons, or videos only when necessary. Too many images or icons will act as distractors instead of communicators. Now let's look at these two images. The one on the right, the slide has 3 different images, and you can tell that they're competing against one another. Your eyes can't really tell where it should fall into. You don't know what information is really important because there's a lot on there. On the left, you're going to notice that it's a very basic image of photosynthesis, and your eyes can really just go into the image and understand every single element and aspect of it. So just make sure to only add images or videos when necessary. And if you have more than one image that you want to include on your slide, you can use a grid and make sure to put them in a symmetrical manner and spread out your images so you have one image on each slide if it has a lot of information that your student needs to be paying attention to. Thank you for watching my tutorial, and I hope you found it helpful. Please feel free to email me whenever you want.